My dudes, get your lubes. There are not many things that I love in this world more than Dragon Ball, the original Pokemon, Final Fantasy VII, and you know. And I was thinking about what do these all have in common, and then it hit me. Not only they're all awesome to watch and play with, but they've also had to deal with censorship in one way or another. It's time to go back, my dudes. We've been dealing with censorship in games since back in the 90s, but it was usually just some dialogue and religious symbols, like in the original Zelda. The Book of Magic was actually a Bible in Japan. Or in the original Dragon Quest, where the infamous Puff Puff was censored. In Japanese, the NPC says,
"Oide, boya. Puff puff shite hoshii nara 50 gold da yo.
And for the low-ranking weebs, come here, boy. If you want me to give you a puff puff, it's 50 gold. Which is Akira Toriyama-san's famous joke about motorboating. And man, did he build his boats with comfort in mind, not speed. But in the English version, she just says she doesn't have any tomatoes. There's no rhymes for these crimes, it's just signs of the times.
When you play one of these games, you are the murderer. You have your hand on the trigger.
For you, not for me!
Hell, even Final Fantasy VII had to deal with a ton of censorship. In the Golden Saucer prison, there was a weird word graffitied here. What could it possibly mean? Maybe this will help. But then over time, things started to get better and better. Games were less censored, and they started to include more adult themes. Not to mention, we got some of the best fan service we've ever seen, giving us the golden age of gaming.
That is one giant pussy.
This all started to change and things got progressively worse over the past decade, up to where we are now, where we mostly get censored remakes and new IPs that fail because they've been made for the mythical modern audience. So what's going on here? Japanese companies have 3 hurdles to get over. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. Games are rated by self-regulated organizations that assign age and content ratings to games. The ones I'm sure everybody is familiar with is the ESRB, PEGI, and the Japanese specific one, CERO. Basically, all you need to know is that different cultural norms means different ratings in different regions, and many games had content altered and removed in regions of the world based on what's acceptable in those cultures. In general, companies want lower ratings so that they can sell more games and make as much money as possible, and it's always been a battle for them to find a balance between adding and censoring mature content while trying not to water down the game and piss off the fans. In addition, CERO is notoriously strict, and Japanese developers such as Sakurai Masahiro-san, who developed Super Smash Bros., and even recently the creator of Dragon Quest, Hori Yuji-san, who has expressed their concerns about these organizations. Now I get a ton of comments asking why don't Japanese companies make censored and non-censored versions of their games like they did back in the day? Well, this brings us up to the next hurdle, and probably the most damaging to every franchise we love, and not just limited to Japan. The reason Japanese companies are moving away from multiple versions of their games is partly due to globalization, activists inside the company, and the social aspect of ESG. Whoa, what's ESG? Well, unlike MSG, which makes everything taste better, ESG actually sucks the flavor right out. I'm not gonna get into everything, and you should probably watch a video that goes in depth about it, but just know that almost every major gaming and media company in the world now are trying to appeal to investors by injecting DEI into their media. It's also ruining their internal structure as well. Instead of hiring entirely based on merit and skill, as they should be, they're now trying to hire based on race and sexual orientation. Instead of judging people on the content of their character, they're hiring based on the content of their underwear. Oh, you think this is some conspiracy? Open your eyes, my dudes. Companies don't even hide this shit. Here's a quick example. Subnautica 1 was created by Unknown Worlds Entertainment and was released in 2016. In 2021, the studio was acquired by a South Korean developer called Krafton. And here's their ESG report, which starts at 2021. It follows the same pattern that all the Japanese companies are. They're actively trying to get rid of their male employees to increase their female headcount and then pushing them into manager positions. Last year alone, they got rid of 152 dudes while only letting go of 31 females in order to show growth of diversity. Hell, even look at their application page. They're telling diverse people to apply even if they don't meet the damn requirement. They're a bunch of brown-nosed beggars begging for brown. I said I can't rap and that's that. So what happened? The Subnautica 2 trailer drops and what do you know? Feminine black dude with the hairstyle that no black dude would ever rock.
Do you find me sexy? I said, do you find me sexy?
And they added whatever the hell this thing is. Now place your bets if you think this game is gonna have gender removed with type A and B shenanigans. Back to Japan, I'm not gonna go through all the reports, just know that every single one of them follows the same pattern. Get rid of people that made the company what they are for the investors. Now Bandai Namco is getting a lot of shit for Unknown 9 Awakening right now, which to nobody's surprise turned out to be a commercial flop after they decided to partner with Sweet Baby Inc. Shit, they even removed gender completely from the Tekken 8 avatar creator by mixing all female and male visual options into the same area. Then they added an option called motion, where you can choose type A and B. A is to move like a dude, and B is to move like a female. It's a joke.
Oh, Bandai Namco, that's enough to make me hot, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, I've already talked about Dragon Quest and how Square Enix removed gender with the Type A and B bullshit, but the Final Fantasy VII Remake was also injected with random censorship and some of the most cringe levels of representation I've ever seen.
No way. That guy's too big a flirt for my taste. Maybe I'm just over men in general.
Then would you consider dating me?
Huh?
What the hell was that? Get the hell out of here. What about Capcom? Well, the Dead Rising remake was another censored mess. And since they can't make any new IPs, having replaced all their talent, they just keep remaking their old games, but censoring them using their in-house localization team. It's gotten so bad that these losers are even apologizing for past content. Get this, they included this disclaimer in their SNK vs. Capcom release back in July. This product aims to faithfully recreate the content of the original game at the time of their release in 2003, as much as possible. Therefore, the content of this game does not represent the ideals of our company, but it is provided as is, respecting the original intent of the game, and is not intended to promote or attack any particular ideology or group. This is the most spineless, pathetic thing I've ever seen a Japanese company do. The edgy Capcom you and I grew up with, they're gone now, dudes.
On a previous episode of Capcom Has No Ball Z.
Capcom flies these inept weirdos to Japan, provides them housing, and since they don't know a damn thing about Japanese culture and are too socially awkward to integrate into society, they get shoved onto the localization team just so they can ruin our games. Maybe you didn't believe me last time, so I dug deeper. Here is Marco Bombazzi, the localization manager at Capcom. He says, it's reassuring to know that the company is dedicating time to listening to its employees and accommodating those who aren't able to communicate in Japanese. There it is, my dudes. Capcom is so big into DEI that they are hiring people that don't even speak Japanese to localize their content. That's like a Japanese person who doesn't speak English localizing The Last of Us.
Have a nice day!
What about Konami? I just made a video talking about how Konami toned down sexual themes in the Silent Hill remake, and of course, here we are. Here's a statement by the president, Kimihiko Higashio-san. To contribute to the development of society as a whole, we will further promote blah blah blah. It's the same across the board. All of these companies I grew up with and love, ruining their franchises with pandering, censorship, and lazy DI crap, and I'm sick of it.
We can't take the man alone!
The last hurdle they gotta get over are all these activists pretending to be journalists that shame gaming companies for not censoring their games or adding their worldviews. Let's take a look at how they represent us gamers. Here's an article by Rich Wordsworth, who is the only person who gave the Silent Hill remake a bad score. Hey, maybe he's upset that the game was censored or something. The sexual monstrosities roaming the streets. Yeah, they are sexualized. It's a story about a man with pent-up sexual frustration. You're a man. You understand, right? Right? They suggest James is a man living life with incognito browsing set to default. Finally, a man who gets it. James is a dude, and the game is about a dude dealing with some shit while caring for his sick wife. It's a terrible situation. The monsters get special mention for being as stuck in the past as James is. Wait, what?
Another activist, McGuire. Activist. Yes.
Yeah, this dude gave the game a lower score for it not being censored enough. Remember when that idiot from Screenrant gave Wukong a lower score for lacking in diversity? Or Tessa Carr from Thegamer.com, who writes hit pieces to bully companies like Capcom to censor their games and make political stances? Well, check out this other weirdo at Thegamer.com, Mike Drucker, writing articles like, I'm personally going to force game companies put all that stuff you hate. As always, let's see what kind of gamer they are. God, I hate white people. Okay, glad to know that you're just so open about it. It's not even worth giving this idiot my time here. So why do Screenrant and Thegamer.com constantly get brought up for bad takes in gaming? Well, Thegamer.com and Screenrant are actually owned by the same company, Valnet Inc., who is balls deep into DEI hiring, while saying they hire based on merits. What about IGN? Well, they're owned by Ziff Davis. And look what I found here. Building a diverse workforce. The ongoing actions to increase diversity across our workforce include doubling the referral bonus paid to employees and senior leadership when we hire a person of color. Holy shit, dude. We got a 2 times multiplier here. Literally all of these gaming news sites are full of these weirdos, and no wonder why nobody takes them serious anymore. And I'm just so sick of it. Now, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't see this changing anytime soon, but we've been seeing these companies taking serious L's with their corporate Darwin Award decision making, and it never gets old to watch them fail over and over again. Maybe these companies will one day want money again. Until then, keep voting with your wallets and calling out the bullshit the best you can. Peace.